here today with Ryan Pineau. He's a partner at Grant Thornton, but more recently, he's a little more of a Facebook phenomenon with his parody singing videos. He's actually, I guess you've probably had well over probably thousands and thousands of views, but I've seen one had at least 10,000 views. So we're here with PEI famous Ryan Pineau, and we're happy to have him on the exchange today. I'm joined with Blake Doyle, and thanks for coming on today, Ryan.
Oh, no problem, Sam. And Blake, thanks for having me.
And now I don't know if you realized or not, because you're probably too busy with work and singing to keep up with this, but you're actually trending on Twitter in South Korea. So I think you might be a K-pop sensation. And I think there's a couple of wigs maybe in particular that really got people's attention in certain markets.
Well, hopefully the royalty checks start rolling in here. I don't think I'll be quitting my day job anytime soon.
Well, it's amazing how much attention you've gotten. Tell us how this thing started, because I think I may have seen one of your first videos and I just dismissed it. I thought you were kind of cracking under pressure, and then you did it again, and that became a kind of recurring theme, and you've got the whole family involved. So how did this happen? I'm sure it was accidental maybe at first, was it?
Well, I guess if I go back, the first one, which was a parody of looking out my back door, a little CCR, the day we locked down and decided to close our doors to the public here at Grant Thornton, as I was literally driving home, it came into my head, and I got home and giggling, and my wife Becky said, "What's this about now?" And I said, "Get the phone. I've got a video we need to make." So that one was a real quick. It was only kind of the chorus of the song, basically. So it didn't take too long. It was done in one shot, and threw it up there just for the enjoyment of some of the staff around work, because everybody was a little stressed out early on, not knowing what working from home was going to be like. So we were just trying to lighten the mood up a bit. But after the first one, there was a lot of requests for during videos. So to all my adoring fans, I tried to keep up and write some of these requested songs.
And a lot of people wouldn't take maybe chartered accountants as the creative type per se, but maybe you're kind of breaking down barriers for chartered accountants who also want to follow a musical path.
Yeah, look, you gotta find something to do on the side, right? So everybody's got to have a hobby and something to keep them upbeat. So I was always big into singing in the choirs in church and stuff. So it's always formed part of my life in terms of my family is very musical and loves singing. So lots of family get-togethers end up in a rousing round of Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that.
So how did you go about this? So the first one was short, and then it evolved, and you've put a lot of time into actually. You're like the Weird Al Weird Al Yankovic, is that the guy's name?
Yes, something like that.
Of the chartered accountancy profession. But you've spent a lot of time coming up with lyrics, and you've got wardrobe changes, you've got multiple cast members.
Yeah, it kind of evolved from the first couple were like just me singing and trying to do it in one shot, because I had never done any video editing before. So out of that it became a matter of, as you write the songs, you kind of think through the scenes that you need for these, and as I did that, I decided I probably can't do all of this in one cut. So I went on the App Store on the iPhone and just put in video editing and took the first app that came up, which was something called Splice. And it just took off from there. So I usually kind of drum up the lyrics, and then I get my wife Becky to think about what the scenes are going to look like, and she kind of plans out what the video is going to look like, gets together all the props and costumes, and then we film it.
Now, you have another sort of element to this. It's not just your creativity and your quality lyrics. You've done some fundraising with this, and that's been pretty successful too. Tell us about how that came about and why you chose this particular group to support.
Sure. Well, I guess early on it was done, again, as I say, just to brighten spirits around the coworkers, and then from there a lot of reach outs from other people that are now working from home. And it really started to take off in a bigger way when somebody from Grant Thornton National, the communications team, saw one of the videos that had been shared and reached out and asked if they could repost it. So I started. I didn't realize it had gone out. So I started getting all these messages from people across the country that they were thanking me for the video, and I was like, I don't know these names. So anyway, it kind of exploded then, and once the views started to get up into the thousands and tens of thousands, I thought, well, if I've got people's eyes looking at me to watch me make a fool of myself, I might as well try and make some good out of it. So I set up a GoFundMe to try and drive some donations towards the Upper Room Food Bank, because I think if you look at the situation right now with people being out of work, even though there are funding programs available, cash flow is tight, and sometimes the funds come in late. So I think a lot of people, food security is the front of mind issue. So right now, I think the goal was $500 when I said it, and according to GoFundMe, we're at $940 now. So we'll continue to try and drive that number up and turn some dollars over to the food bank to help out our fellow islanders.
So you're putting your reputation on the line, I guess, but you're doing it in good cause, and you're doing it for like you said, kind of all these programs that get out. There's still some that slip through the cracks. So you kind of took your own leadership route and decided to make something out of making fun of yourself.
Exactly. I'm self-deprecating at the best of times, so I don't mind everybody having a good laugh at me.
But you've almost doubled your initial target, which is great. So people can still make a contribution. That GoFundMe is still active and up, and you're still collecting
Active,
funds.
and the title of it is "Sing for Their Supper." So if anybody wants to look that up, certainly it's not money going to me; it's going right directly to the Upper Room Food Bank. So I'm sure they'll appreciate any dollars that can come in their way.
Sam, you did some work. I think I'm not going to put you on the spot. Ryan can jump in, but did you check to see the volume of sort of interest that these videos have had? We're into pretty big numbers, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, so like hundreds of views, kind of like each one kind of gets its own number of views. It depends on what the I guess medium you pick, because we put it on a couple different places. But yeah, exactly. So I think we'll link your information in the end of this as well, just to kind of give a little more push.
Yeah, I'm not very sophisticated on it, but it's shared on multiple platforms, and the views don't kind of come together. The biggest views seem to be on Facebook, where a couple of them have almost reached 11,000 views.
And I think there's people even reaching out to you saying, "What? It's Ryan. It's the afternoon. The video hasn't been posted yet. What the hell's going on here? Like, where's the new one?" I've seen a couple. I think even Clifford Lee was one of them. I seen him bugging you. Where's your video today?
Text me on a daily basis, wondering where the video is. That's pretty funny to me. And yeah, as far I said in I had done an interview with CBC. I had a former Grant Thornton staff member in Egypt had seen the video
Wow.
and connected with me, and now we've been talking and just became friends to learn about what's going on each side of the world. So it's pretty interesting where it can kind of take off and lead you to.
Certainly. And we'll kind of change paths right now in terms of the accounting profession. So how is Grant Thornton kind of positioning themselves to help maybe smaller businesses who might be falling through the cracks during COVID-19, and kind of maybe to help them see a light at the end of the tunnel?
For sure. I think we're very fortunate on PEI in that the government programs have rolled out really fast on a provincial level, and they're kind of designed to help businesses and individuals through the cracks until federal programs kick in, just because of the time lag before the federal programs can roll out. So the provincial programs have gotten to ground really fast and are getting dollars in pockets for clients very quickly. And a number of our colleagues from across kind of the maritime provinces and across the country have reached out wondering how the province of PEI is rolling these programs out so fast so that they can then advise in their own provinces. So beyond kind of the initial stages of the provincial funding programs that are available, kind of as emergency stopgap measures, it becomes a matter of what is the go forward plan and how do you as a business adapt in kind of a post-COVID world. So one of the programs that the province has implemented is COVID-19 adaptation program. And in that program, they'll offer up to $2,500 in assistance towards professional fees for developing a strategy around COVID-19 and how to continue to operate, or what the post-COVID-19 world looks like. So in a lot of cases, our clients on the larger side have in-house accounting staff, CFO, finance people that are able to work their way through some of these programs. On our smaller clients who might be sole proprietors or owner managers, they don't have the time to take away from actually operating the businesses that are operating, or potentially the financial background to be able to navigate through these programs. So this program then allows them to hire not just accounting firms, not just Grant Thornton, but any professionals that are able to assist in developing the strategy they need to get outside of this crisis, I guess. So we've been trying to help smaller businesses apply on that to get them some assistance, and then from there, using that as the stepping ground to find out what programs are available to them, work with their bankers to try and defer payments if possible, negotiate lease deferrals, and find funding.
So in addition to your singing, you're still presumably working and supporting your clients. So as Grant Thornton, how are they adapting to this challenge? Is your team kind of remotely dispersed? Are you still, I mean, you mentioned you're working with clients to try to help them with their financing and managing their operations. Is everybody still within the firm still performing duties to support your clientele?
Yeah, so it's been a really interesting rollout. Grant Thornton has had a goal of trying to develop the technology for people to be able to work from home and work remotely, for some time, and that technology rollout has been happening over the last couple of years. And so this put that on an expedited process. So whenever we decided we were going to close to the public and start working from home, I think it was on a Wednesday maybe, and I'm sure for a lot of staff members there was frustration in trying to access files remotely and off of our servers, just because the bandwidth wasn't there in order to do it. So big shout out to our IT staff. They have quickly kind of adapted, pushed out new IT infrastructure, and now we're working from home. We have a skeleton staff, kind of one staff member per floor here that are on site, and we have a Dropbox for client info to come in if it's in kind of paper format. So they empty that once a day, quarantine it, and then after it's safe, open it up and scan or distribute it as necessary. So it's been a big adaptation, and I'm actually in the office today because my laptop charger cord conked out on me, so I had to run in and plug in to make this call. But yeah, so I'm working from home now. I have a 3.5-year-old who appears in a lot of the videos, and it's
Yes.
a very different than I'm used to, but it's enjoyable in its own way. It's nice to be able to see your family kind of throughout the course of the day instead of just for the wee hours of the morning and evenings.
And like you said, like a lot of companies maybe were on the path to allowing some working from home, but now it's like a forced work from home. So they have to kind of ramp up their efforts. I don't know, even our office, for example, it didn't take a lot as long as you have the bandwidth at home, whether it's fiber op or whatever the case may be. It is pretty easy to do, but just kind of, it's taking it from like, oh, we might do it over the next 6 months to, yeah, we're doing it tomorrow. So I think a lot of island businesses have been able to make that switch. So it's nice to see, but again, we don't really know what it'll look like post COVID, but it's nice to see that we can be functional.
I think it will open a lot of people's eyes to what can be done that people previously might have thought, this is not a position that can work remotely. I think it makes a big difference in people's viewpoints of what working remotely can do, and we've seen our productivity hold. Sometimes I think people have a bias to think that productivity is going to go down when people are working remotely, but we've been very appreciative of our staff in that they are still as productive as ever, and our clients, had some hiccups in terms of getting up and running themselves, so that has delayed information coming in, but for the most part, a lot of stuff is back on track and rolling out. The bigger issue is kind of some of the rural areas, and we know that it's been an ongoing struggle in getting rural high speed broadband internet. And I think one of the programs that the province has rolled out is more funding towards rural broadband, but that's a longer term solution, not a short term band-aid for sure.
Well, the key is that the economy needs to get back going. I'm certainly a strong advocate. We've got to respect the measures as directed by the chief public health officer. But boy, we got to kickstart this economy. And the fact that your organization is still supporting clients, you're active, you're dispersed, but if your productivity is maintaining even a semblance of where it should be, I think that's a great testament to the abilities of your firm to remotely share work and work electronically.
Yeah, it's I mean, and nobody knows at this point in time how long this is going to go on. So, I mean, if a fella had a better viewpoint as to where the end was, planning for business would be a lot easier in terms of how to roll out from here. But everybody is just trying to hole up and conserve cash where they can, and try and figure out solutions for how to move forward. You know, a lot of projects were delayed, but as this kind of extends longer, people are trying to now figure out how to push projects forward remotely or in a safe method.
So Sam, in another life, you'd see somebody like Ryan who builds this grassroots kind of persona, kind of rises up from nowhere. All of a sudden, he's a media superstar trending in South Korea. Is he not the kind of candidate that you'd want to see run for politics?
I think he's in the early stages of being primed for a run. I don't like, maybe he isn't telling us something, but I don't know. Definitely, he's getting the notoriety and page views now that you would see in a maybe a politician setting up for a future run.
Look, I'm expecting that there will be a Ryan Exotic type documentary on Netflix in no time.
The rise to fame over COVID-19.
Exactly.
Well, I've heard you referred to as the Tory Neil Handerhan. I assume that means that you're an accountant and Neil's an accountant. I'm not sure what that refers to necessarily, but
couple of
I mean,
Western boys.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what it is, I guess. So no political aspirations in the short term, because this podcast is really about economics, public affairs, politics, nothing that we should want to break here.
No.
Okay.
Maybe at a later date we'll talk about that.
Becky is not in the room, but if she was, there'd be daggers shooting. So, no, I mean, I've been involved in politics since I was in first year of university and was the president of the campus club for the provincial Progressive Conservatives, and then president of the PC Youth, and long-term treasurer now. I think I'm in my 13th year as treasurer of the PC party of PEI. So I'm happy working with the party on building up supports to help support democracy from that angle. And someday in retirement, maybe I will look at what else I can do. I'm big on giving back to community and to the island in general, because it is what has kind of grown my career. So wherever I'm best used, that's where I'll be.
Well, you've demonstrated that with this great initiative that I'm sure just started to pass some time. It's built into a phenomenon now, and you're raising some money for some good causes. As far as the creativity goes, I mean, you're coming up with songs. Do you get stumped trying to come up with a new song on a daily basis? I mean, you've got an audience now waiting for the next release. Are you hitting any roadblocks?
The first, we'll call it week or week and a half of songs, there was a lot of easy ones off the top of my head. There's a whole raft of song titles that people have sent me that they want done, but they've all been done by other people already, and I don't want to copy others. You know, you're gonna, if you have a My Sharona, My Corona kind of remix, well, it's been done a number of times, and I'm trying not to steal anybody else's limelight. So I'm trying to find songs that are kind of a little outside of the box and put a mix on it. So I've got one lined up here that maybe tomorrow we'll release. And we'll take a little different turn from the 80s that I've been on to in classic rock, and maybe we'll go a little country.
Ooh. Sam, you'd like that.
I like country. Blake's more of the EDM DJ type, so I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't heard any of those EDM stuff yet, Ryan, but I'm sure it's in your repertoire
it's
coming.
my personal repertoire. I don't know if the Adoring have any requests.
Anyways, we were glad to have you on the exchange today and kind of shed some light or a light of hope in terms of what's going on with COVID-19 from both the creative side and an accounting side. We really appreciate your time today, Ryan.
Thanks a lot, guys.
And you can reach out to Ryan anytime if you want to suggest songs or if you need support for accounting advice. He seems to be working when he's not singing. So
you give me a song and a one-key lyric, and I'll take it from there.
Well, let's do one on emergency measures and locking down the province. Maybe that's one of your ones for next week, perhaps.
Okay. We'll work lockdown.
We'll save that conversation for another time. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.